What's up, guys, and welcome to The Reload. My name is Cody Luongo, and yes, we're live again. We got an awesome show built out for you today. There's been a whole lot of Counter-Strike since we visited last week. You got ESL New York, the Blast Pro Series, a bunch of player transfers, and more. So let's just jump right into it. I want to introduce my guest to you today. He's an American Counter-Strike player, analyst, commentator. He's been around for a long time. He's also a dangerous natural predator. You don't want to run into him in the wilderness. Let's bring him in. It's the Bears. It's the Bears.
I'm getting me all hyped up for this.
That's what I do.
Feel good, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man.
How you guys doing?
How you doing?
Doing all right. I was looking up some yoga places. I want to sign up for yoga. I want to get back into it.
Yeah?
I want to work in my body. I want to work on it. You know, I've let it go a little too much. Things are getting loose.
So what's up with the Iron Man Cup?
The Iron Man Cup? Well, I did an Iron Man 2010. Oh my goodness, 8 years ago. It's been a while. And so that's a triathlon race where it's a 2.4 mile swim, 112 mile bike ride, and 26.4 mile run. I believe it is something like that. 26.4, 26.2, whatever.
Well, say 112 mile bike.
Yeah.
And then you run a marathon?
Yeah.
That's absolutely insane.
It took me about 15 hours. It took me a lot longer because on the third or fourth mile of the run, both my feet started hurting. I couldn't run anymore. So I walked for 21 miles to the finish line.
You walked?
I dragged my feet for 21 miles because I told myself, I'm going to finish this. I built it up for a year, and I'm going to finish it. So I did.
That's insane. Were you training for that?
I was training 20 hours a week for about a year in terms of just swimming, running, and biking. Very little weightlifting, but I'd throw it in there once in a while.
Okay. That's tight. Bears doing the Iron Man. I gotta get some. I gotta get.
Maybe one day if I have the time again. It's just, or not the time, but maybe more of the will. You have to want to do it, otherwise you're not gonna do it. You can't just wake up and do it. You can't. It's a day by day thing.
Bears with the wisdom per usual. Thank you. Bears, can I ask you something really quick? Because I've been wondering this for a while.
Go ahead.
You mind this? So
go ahead and ask.
I'm gonna fire away here. Okay, I gotta know because so we're homies, right? We talk. You come on the reload. You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding, and I'm wondering here, what is the story behind the Bears? How did you become the Bears?
The Bears.
Bears.
I mean, it's not as a crazy story as you think it is.
No?
I've always been into comedy. I've always liked Saturday Night Live, especially the old school 90s with Chris Farley, Adam Sandler, and all those guys. They were around when I was young. So I was a big fan of the Superfan skit where they all were in Chicago Bears stuff and talking about how good the Bears are. It's pretty funny. And so I pretty much got my name, The Bears, from that little skit from Saturday Night Live, the Superfans.
Wow. Yeah. So that's pretty.
Look it up on Google.
That's some insider information then. Does anyone know that?
Maybe some people. Maybe some people, but not a lot.
Because I've done the research. I do the research on all my guests. I watched the Thor and Thoughts, 35 minutes on the Bears. I know about 1.6. I know about CLG.
It's pretty accurate. Thor did a pretty good job.
Yeah?
It's pretty accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. So, like I said, there's been so much Counter-Strike, like too much to even really keep up with since last week. But first off, I thought a good place.
It's a great thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. It's not good if you're trying to build out a show around all the action that's happening.
We've got to narrow it down, okay? We can't get all the CS because there's so many events, so many matches. I literally don't have enough time in the day to watch every single match and every event, which is unfortunate for us, but it's great for the viewer. You have a lot of choices, a lot of different things to work with.
Definitely.
It's all right. Not too bad.
Well, following the major, there was ESL New York at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, which is a great venue, by the way. And this tournament was packed with upsets. I mean, whereas it's kind of funny because the major was going sort of the way things were supposed to go in terms of who is coming out on top. Australis won. People were saying that it was boring, and then you have ESL New York, and it's like, what the hell just happened here? I mean,
Yeah.
FaZe and Navi out before playoffs? Like, what?
I think Navi is definitely the big surprise in terms of, they were one of the teams obviously to win it. I think the thing is, a lot of it has to do with the major obviously being for multiple weeks, and they're traveling literally a couple days after the major, come straight to New York,
Right.
different huge time zone from London, about 6-7 hours coming to New York, and so maybe not the maybe not that long, but it's still jet lag enough to affect you. And I think Navi was pretty affected by a lot of the jet lag, and just because the major's exhausting. You're there for weeks and you're playing so many matches.
Yeah. Studying.
You're studying, you're practicing, and you're not at home. The important part is that you're not at home. You're in some hotel room for weeks at a time, and yeah, maybe you get to go home for a day or two in between, but still, like after a couple weeks, it adds up. Just being away from your home, and it drains the mentality, and so it really shows the strength of people if they're able to do it for months at a time. It affects everybody, and you saw it affecting Navi as they got pretty much shut down at New York.
Yeah, they who knocked them out? It was Gambit. Gambit beat them twice
Yeah, that was
on Nuke too.
definitely probably a grudge thing. So, in my opinion, I think if a team is playing against former teammates, and say, for example, you look at Navi, you got Zeus. He technically, everyone's eyes, he joined the better team. Okay,
Hmm.
this probably puts a huge chip on Gambit's shoulder, especially after they won a major last year, and then Zeus leaves immediately right after the major to join Navi. So that's definitely going to put a chip and a drive on Gambit's shoulder. They might not beat other tier one amazing teams like FaZe or Astralis on a consistent basis, but you play against Zeus, it builds up a fire, that rivalry, and it just really pushed them over the edge. And Gambit played, phenomenally against Navi.
Yeah, Gambit was playing out of their mind. Like after they won the first time, I thought maybe this was a fluke, and then the second go, in the best of three, I was just like, wow, Navi. But I know that for a fact that they were a little upset following the major. I think it was Simple Electronic was heard saying in an interview that their spirits were down because it's one thing to
Oh
make it to the
yeah.
finals. It's a
Oh
great
yeah.
achievement,
Yeah.
but then you're on the losing side, and they admitted that that was fresh in their minds, and it was like I think the word they used to describe was there's flashbacks of the
Yeah.
London
No.
major.
The mental part about um losing stuff and the fact that it's almost worse to get second place than it is to get last place because you're so close. Like obviously, maybe looking back in a couple weeks after the major, you'd be like, okay, we got second place, it's cool, whatever. But during the time, as you said, it's still fresh. The Them losing in the finals is just it's more devastating than almost getting last place. I mean, last place really
Right.
sucks, and obviously you're in the dumps. But you got to the finals. You were that close to winning, and you lose it in a fashion which you could have played better. We know that Simple had a really off best of three in that finals. He didn't perform, and it really hurt their team. And so I'm sure he even takes it even harder than usual. So it's unfortunate for them, and it carried on to New York, and it showed.
What is crazy to me is that prior to the major, Astralis is the best team in the world. And then they go through the entire major, starting from the first stage, and win in that fashion. Navi, I don't even think it was really close in in terms of in terms of the grand final. So does that like
No, it
cement
wasn't at
them
all.
as what does that make them? Like what does that mean for Astralis? Like if they were already the best in the world, when they did it, it sort of like cemented their greatness
Oh,
into
definitely.
history.
I think without a doubt, at least for right now, every team recognizes them every top team recognizes them as the number one team. It shows they won the major, but it's the fashion that they won the major. You could watch teams and see explosive players carry games, and even though they can do well, like a Navi is probably a great example. Is you have Electronic and Simple who can literally carry games, and in people's minds, they're a great team, but it kind of relies on Simple and Electronic for the most part, as a lot of people see it. But with Astralis, it's not that. It's their teamwork. It's how they can adjust. It's how any game, any one of their players can top frag, carry the game. Uh, they're one of the probably the most complete teams in the game right now, especially with all these roster shuffles and whatnot. And so it shows off, and you can see every time they do a strat, it looks clean, polished. Everyone's on the same page for the most part. Very little times where you see Astralis looking confused or lost. They always just have a pretty good game plan, and I mean, that's what makes them one of the top teams and number one in the world.
I couldn't agree more. Just so polished, like a fine-tuned machine every time they hit a round. They
Mm.
clearly know what they're doing and have the skills to back it up. So that's kind of out of the question in terms of Astralis uh, being able to be challenged by anyone at this moment. Well, maybe, but I think it's definitely important to talk about FaZe too, because FaZe is a team that is visibly struggling, and where they were dealing with the problem of Olaf Meister being absent and having the stand-ins, they were actually kind of doing not too bad with stand-ins, placing among the top four here and there at events. But it just seems like when they were at the major and now seeing them be eliminated first at ESL New York, it's just like, what the heck is going on? You have to acknowledge too that when at the major, Nico filled in for Kerrigan as the IGL, and he did so for this tournament as well. And I'm sorry, he's now taking over the IGL for Kerrigan. So he's pushing him aside and saying, I'm leading the pack now.
Yeah, and I mentioned a couple weeks ago that with FaZe changing their in-game leader during the major, I thought that'd be a huge red flag in terms of not just a major, but the the roster of this team and their mentality. When you change your in-game leaders like that, you lost faith in his ability to call. Not only does that change everything up within the system that you've been practicing for months, but for the player itself, like Kerrigan, to have that idea, that mentality that um, his job was an in-game leader. Now he's not. That's the ultimate um, confidence, like just gone. Like
Just
his confidence is gone. He has to
yeah,
be a pure fragger, pretty much. Maybe he's more of a support role, but regardless, it just his mentality is probably really low right now, and especially after New York, I can't see FaZe continuing with Kerrigan.
it
I
really doesn't
think
make
that
sense at
it
this
doesn't make
point.
sense. As for in-game leading, as for Nico to continue, he probably will continue until they get a new fifth, and depending if they get another in-game leader, or maybe Nico will continue to in-game lead, he might transition to that role. But the the results right now so far lately since Nico has taken over leading has not been great. I mean, they've been losing to Australis. It's not you can't fault them for that, but they're losing
No.
to G2, they're losing to NRG, they're
Yeah.
losing yeah, pretty much those are the only teams they really played so far. But they look like they're half the team.
Yeah.
Literally like the half the team they were before. And I just look at this ESL Pro League match from today. They got destroyed by G2. I mean, it's just going to be very difficult for FaZe to continue with Kerrigan. And I mean, I think me and everyone else pretty much expects them to get rid of Kerrigan or find someone to replace him as soon as possible.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, they obviously need to make changes. There's the report from HLTV, Nico. From now on, Kerrigan won't be the in-game later. Huge confidence destroyer, as you mentioned. Might as well just get pantsed in front of all your peers.
It's one of those dreams where you're talking in front of a whole bunch of your peers and you're just wearing underwear. It's pretty much what it must feel like.
I've everyone talks about this dream, but I've never had it ever. Have you? Have
Have you
you
ever
had the
done public
underwear?
speaking before? I think maybe once in high school, a long time ago. I think it's a dream that forms from if you're a lot of pressured over something. Maybe I don't know, speech test or business meeting. Who knows? That's what I'm thinking.
I'm not an expert on that. Can't say I've had the underwear dream, but I've had a lucid dream before once or twice.
Oh,
Those are cool, you know. Get to
yeah, you got to
control, you know.
practice those. You got to
Yeah,
practice that.
definitely. Studying Australis, getting to know how to lucid dream. Um,
Practice strats in my dreams. If I was lucid dreaming, I'd be practicing dry runs all day in my dreams. Be like, come on, guys, the flashes had to be a little tighter than that. All right, I'm coming out balcony and there's no flashes. I want it at the same time. Let's do it 5 more times until it works. That's what you got to do.
that's some commitment. That's some
Got to
real
do
commitment. I
commitment.
dream
There you go.
CS:GO. Not only do I eat it, I dream it.
I eat it for breakfast every day with some almond milk because I'm a little lactose intolerant. Got to go with the almond milk. All right, real milk will just mess me up. I'd be on the toilet for an hour.
If you're drinking whole milk still, you have some serious problems, in my opinion.
You're not human. You have these enzymes. I don't know. I don't have these
Definitely a
enzymes.
terrorist. Uh, okay. Uh, Another huge narrative or theme from ESL New York was did Liquid blow it? Seemed like their stage was set. FaZe and Navi were gone. Astralis is on the other side of the world, and
Mm,
basically it seemed like they just had to take
mm,
care of NRG, G2,
mm,
Mouse Sports, whoever they ran into, and just drop the
mm.
ball. This was their stage to win.
Yeah. What's funny about all this, if it was the major format, best of three final, Team Liquid would have won.
Yeah.
But guess what? Best of five, screwball right at you. Liquid had it pretty much on dust too. And then they flub another half in crazy fashion, losing all these just unfavorable situations.
This map right
And
here was the real decider on Dust 2, where they were up 11-4 at half, and Mouse Sports came back to win. This
yeah,
was
it's
it.
just it seems like Team Liquid's forever going to be known as this, at least until the core changes. That what you might call it, Elige and Nitro. They're pretty much the two oldest players on the team,
Hmm.
and they're the people been saying, is it them? Is it their mentality that's preventing them from winning? And I mean, they're I think they're top four, top three team in the world, especially when they're on fire. When they're
Definitely.
playing, they could beat any team in the game. It's just that their biggest problem is that when they're about to win, or maybe uh, you know the match is on the line, they play this weird play not to lose mentality, kind of where they're playing cautious. They're not taking map control or taking angles, which sometimes you got to take a little risk. Sometimes you have to put pressure, and I think the biggest thing for Team Luca is that they're not applying pressure to the other team, especially when it's crunch time. You have
Hmm.
to put pressure, continuous pressure, make the other team make mistakes in that fashion. Because if you give them too much, then all of a sudden you're the ones making mistakes. Team Liquid is the ones making mistakes. You let too much happen, and in a game like CS:GO, you need the map control. You need to be confident in what you do to win the whole match, and they lose it every time. It was almost every time they lose it when they're about to, win in terms of their terrible losses. So
You just chalking that up to like mentality, like in the back of their head, they just have that choke factor, or what it is, because that they definitely are. I agree with you, like a top four team in the world right now in this form. Maybe like 2 months ago, I wouldn't quite say that, but right now, I mean, they're looking good.
mentality. Yeah, I mean, obviously it has to be a mentality thing because it plays so well up to that point, and all of a sudden it's like flipping a switch, and they're a whole different team. Mentality, yeah, it's
They'll eat you alive.
I don't know what they can. So I used to get nervous when I game. I still do. I still get nervous when I game or do something in front of people. I've always had that nerves issue. But one thing that helps me overcome a lot of it is that is able to focus in terms of blocking out the outside noise, blocking
Mm.
out what other people think. And if anyone's ever competed in anything, uh, in matches, sports, spelling bees, whatever,
Spelling bees.
that's I've competed in spelling bee. All right.
Okay.
I'm not leaving anyone out there. Okay, if you're a nerd, just own it up. Tell me that you competed in math and science fairs. I want to know.
How
But
nervous
point
were you on the
being,
spelling bee?
I was pretty
Is
nervous. I
that a?
spelled mayonnaise wrong because I was nervous. I didn't put the double N.
There's two N's.
Maoyonnaise. Like I put
Oh,
one N because I was in second grade. I didn't know better. I was nervous.
okay.
I wasn't thinking properly. The blood wasn't going to my brain. That's what the nerves do. So the key to that is to take deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Try to
Wow.
slow down the heart rate, okay? Because when you're nervous, your heart rate gets excited. It's beating faster
I
than
feel
normal.
it.
Slow it down.
Mm.
Get in the zone. Block everything out.
I feel like I
Really
could
focus
name.
on.
I could spell any condiment right now in the
There you
American
go.
language.
Like ketchup. That's a hard one. Do you know how to spell ketchup? Catsup or ketchup? I don't know, man.
So now I'm
Those
nervous
things.
because I feel like
Now
I'd be
you're a
able
little
to.
nervous. I'm putting you on the spot online. So yeah, you're in front of people. That's how it works. That's what you need to stop, Team Liquid. Stop being the nerves. Do some yoga, deep breaths, and focus. Learn to get into that focused. Oh God, one of my friends is going to kill me because I don't remember the term. He's like a psychologist. Flow state. Get
Flow
in that
state.
flow state. You need to get in that. Team
Yeah.
Liquid loses the flow state when they're about to win. That's the problem. They lose that flow state. Get in the flow state. Keep into it. If you get knocked out, get back in. Get back in. That's what's the skills professional. You have to get back into that flow state.
Just dive.
Back
I
in.
mean, it makes sense though because I don't think they've won a major LAN tournament, right? Like I really don't think so. So for them to be on the
So
cusp of this huge achievement,
I don't.
they probably are in the back of the heads like, oh shit, we're about to do it right now, boys.
I don't think Liquid has ever gotten first place with this lineup. They've gotten second place abundant of time. Yeah, I'm looking
Yeah.
at all their achievements. Not one first place. Oh, CS Summit 2. I'm sorry. That
Yeah.
was the only like tournament, but it was like again, that was like they had some good teams, but it was like pretty casual. I'm not going to take it away from them. It's still a pretty good
Yeah.
achievement, but regardless, excluding that, they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 tournaments where they've gotten second or third place. 15. I can't
Just
like that's you got to be pulling your nails. You got to be pulling your hair at that point. 15 tournaments, second or third place. Not a W. That's performance issues or anxiety if I ever seen one.
yeah, it's all starting to make sense now. I see.
15, man. I didn't
Yeah.
believe it.
But they played well. Unfortunate that they didn't win. I'm stuttering like a madman there. But Twists was afforded the MVP medal, and if I wish I had the
I saw.
picture. Did you see the picture? I
Like,
want to just.
thanks.
It
Great.
was
I'm MVP.
so sad. It was so. It was
Stop
just,
giving MVP to losers. I don't care how good they play. You still lost the game. Stop it.
yeah.
Stop it. You dropped. I mean, he had absurd stats. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. He was pretty
He
ridiculous.
was mental.
Technically, probably the most valuable player at the tournament. But come on. You have to win the big game. Stop doing this to people in the teams. Give it to the team that deserves it. You won the tournament. You deserve the MVP on your
Yeah.
team.
At least don't make him take a picture afterwards. Never again. Never, ESL, please. We beg
made him
you.
look all depressed.
Speaking of the people.
Like some emo, especially with his hair. It made him look all emo and everything. Gotta
Well,
stop doing that.
another person that certainly could have contended the MVP space, in my opinion, was Chris J, who I think single-handedly stopped Liquid. Any momentum they started to build, Chris J's there like, no, I don't think so. And there's
Uh,
one clip specifically, and I want to roll it,
mm.
but I want full game audio commentary so I can feel it because I want to feel the action. Let's play that clip right now from Chris J.
Wants to try and hold off the rotations. Oscar's gone. Chris isn't. Op still in the picture. Op still very much in the round. Oh, Chris! He's found 3. It's down to a 2-on-2. Chris, can he close this with an ace? Oh my God! Chris, the Wolf of Wall Street gets an ace, and it's championship point Mouse Sports.
What is the Wolf of Wall Street? I don't know what that means, but maybe is the name in the movie. A guy named Chris or something, who knows?
I'm not
But
sure.
that was pretty amazing. I mean, that's definitely one of the plays of the year. I mean, they were already at 14-8, but the round was looking, I think it was a 2-on-4 in that situation. Maybe 3-on-4. But either way, Liquid looked like they're going to win the round, at least get the bomb down and make it close. But Chris J is like, just kidding. I'm going to off all you guys. So it was a pretty good one. Definitely, I think it's one of the plays of the year, just because it looks so cool. It's an ace. It was in a big tournament, grand final. But Liquid, man, again, they just, they lost those eco rounds. Killed them.
Yeah.
Killed them really bad. So
there were so many times where it was a moment where it was like Liquid had to win this round, and they just got shut down. It's like, okay, Liquid, now you guys really need to win this round. And I was like, no. And it's like, okay, you basically have no shot, but you should try to win this round so that maybe there's a Hail Mary chance that you can come back. But credit to Mouse Sports and Chris J especially, who were just shutting them down. They put up an insane wall, and Liquid just could not get through it. They let that last game slip away from them entirely.
Yeah, that's Mouse Sports. They were looking kind of shaky coming up to the tournament. Beforehand, I thought they were a top 3 team for sure. I mean, they play like it. They showed like it before the major. And, I mean, they kind of crapped out on the major, but they kind of redeemed themselves in this tournament. And I think the New York is going to propose – like, if Mouse Sports would have lost this tournament, I think – they probably would have given Snacks maybe one more tournament, maybe like a couple more months to see if they improve. And they probably would have changed them out. But since they've won this tournament now and Snacks actually played kind of decent, he's probably going to stick around for a little bit longer. At least that's what it looks like externally. Like, I don't know how he is as a person inside the team, Like, a lot of people don't understand that even though they're a great player, doesn't mean people want to play with them because, I don't know, maybe they pick their teeth as they talk. I don't know, some stupid teams will cut players for,
he's maybe
a racist. I don't know. Like, we don't know this stuff in game. And so playing wise, he did pretty decent. And so I think Mouse Sports are happy with that, especially for winning.
They really needed this win for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, so did Liquid, but I feel like Mouse Sports had been just battling for that first place finish for so long and getting so close, or sometimes dropping out in the top 4, and you start to think, oh, maybe these guys aren't that really able to compete with the very upper echelon. So credit to them.
Mouse Sports looked a little shaky during the major, but they've been kind of solid in the last, I guess, 6 months. With Snacks was kind of weird. I think there was a period where he had to maybe, I don't know if it was, I'm pretty sure they all speak English. Obviously, they have to all speak. They're all from all over the place. But I don't know, maybe if communication is always an issue when someone new joins the team, especially if from a different region of the world, like spots are called differently.
Right.
Your strats are probably different too. And he played on Virtus Pro for many years. And so there's always an adjustment period. And it was pretty shaky for Mouse Sports when he first joined. People were thinking that, they were better with Stico. which it's debatable. They could be better with Stika because Stika's more better of a role player than Snacks is. But they made it up and they won this tournament. So good for Snacks and Mouse Sports.
Yeah, GG Mouse Sports for winning ESL New York and crushing all those Liquid fans, just running them into the ground.
They're already crushed, man. They've been crushed since 2015.
Yeah, this is true.
They've been crushed since 2015. You gotta let them breathe.
Sprinkle in a little hope. Sprinkle it in.
Give Liquid one tournament, please. Just give them a win.
Yeah.
Make them happy. Make their fans happy. Feel sorry for them.
There was a lot of player roster movement over the last week. A number of transfers, and I think probably one of the most notable ones was Flusha going to Cloud9. He was with Fnatic for 5 years, and he seemed quite ecstatic to be joining Cloud9. He was quoted saying, "Joining Cloud9 is one of those opportunities in life that just felt right for me to pursue." And for me, hearing something like that is always a positive thing when someone is excited to go play for a team. Instead of just being signed and going there for the money or something along those lines, having that kind of motivation behind it is definitely a huge plus. So do you think this is going to be a good move for Cloud9?
I'm glad that you think of this in such a positive light. In my mind, I was thinking more of he was one step away from not being in Tier 1 CS anymore, and he was about to either retire or play for some Tier 2 or Tier 3 team and never come back. But now that C9, a Tier 1 North American league, wants to pick him up, I'm sure he's like, "Oh my goodness, I'm saved. I'm still going to get paid to play CS." And on paper, you have Flusha with Fnatic majors, looks all great, but he hasn't been at least doing his thing for the last year or two in terms of being that Flusha that won majors. There's a big difference between that Flusha and the Flusha now. You got Flusha from 2015, aim locking all the time through walls, knowing everything, to Flusha 2018. I'm an okay player. So it's for C9. I don't know if it's the best move for C9, but for Flusha, definitely the best move he could have made. It's going to reignite his career for at least 6 months, so he'll have a chance to prove himself or improve himself in the meantime. It's going to be very interesting with the chemistry of C9 on that boat. I think I mentioned previous weeks about Skadoodle, how I don't know if he still wants to play. I mean, I haven't talked to him saying, "Do you want to play?" But in his gameplay, it's not the same. He's supposed to be a fragger, not top fragging, but he's a fragger. He's an upper. He needs to be the rock of the team. He needs to be the backbone, like a device for Astralis, a guardian for old school Navi, where he just has to be really solid. And then C9 can do well. He doesn't have to carry all the time. He doesn't have to do anything really nuts. He just has to be solid. But he's not solid. In the last, I can't even remember how long, last year or so. Other than the major, he's been kind of not playing as his usual self. And he's retired multiple times already. He said he doesn't want to play anymore, but he keeps coming back. And I don't know if you have to go 110% at this level.
Right.
You can't go 75%. Or otherwise you're just get run over. People are too good. They practice. They want to win. They're hungry. You're playing against wolves out here. You can't just half-ass it. You gotta do everything 110%. And I don't know if Scott's doing that. I can't say that he is or not because I don't know what he does behind the scenes. But it seems like he's not. So, if C9 wants to be a contender, they have to get an opera that's willing to put in the effort. Or Scott needs to really put his heart into it.
Yeah,
and Scott has incredible skill. He has incredible skill. When he's on fire, he's unstoppable. But he needs to bring that more than one every 20 games.
I'm right there with you. This Cloud9 needs some life in them. They need some spice, and they need they need a really strong opper. Like they need like a Woxic, like someone that's gonna go in there and just lead the pack just by
Vox is
being
pretty good.
freaking nasty. You know what I
Uh,
mean? So
yeah,
I
I
don't.
would like C9 to stay American though, because
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind European mixes with American, but we have to keep some American teams. Like, can't just give away all our spots to Europeans or whatnot. So, like, I was thinking maybe look towards NA offers. There's a lot of potentials out there. You got Wardell from Ghost, even though Ghost is doing extremely well right now. I'm just throwing out names that are
Mhm.
potential good offers. Okay,
Right.
you got Wardell. Um, you got some people from E United. I think it's Ace. He can be pretty solid opera a lot of times. And who else off the top of my head? I mean, Energy Cirque. He's really good, but he's locked in. Depends how much you want to pay for an opera. But he's not really NA either, right? So it's
Right.
kind of contradicting myself.
Mhm.
But you know what? He's a great pickup regardless. All right,
Yeah,
Cirque is pretty good.
no doubt.
There's a lot of. I think there's a lot of operas out there. You just gotta look. I promise there are. Opping's really easy.
Yeah.
I'm telling you from experience.
Just running around the test map with one of the like the 1v1s with one of the guys in my office, and I was getting those flicks down. It was a
There you
little
go. There
bang,
you go.
you know what I
Is
mean?
that how you
Over there, the
flick?
left side,
Is this,
boom.
you do this? Is your flick?
Is is it in the wrist?
So you got the wireless mouse. I love this
Ah,
bad
see,
boy.
that's a
So
secret, man.
good.
Um,
You gotta do
it's a hard.
flick.
Is it your samurai sorting someone? Just
It's like you're fighting for your life with every flick. You gotta feel it just go through your veins.
fair, fair. um, in terms of transfers, there was also Crystal going to Rogue as the IGL on loan for ECS in the Pro League season, filling in for Kadian, who went to North. Um, so there's that. And um, obviously, I think another big signing was Fnatic signing Twist. So Fnatic has been struggling quite a bit too. Finished bottom of the group at ESL New York with Scream as a stand-in. Got choice from Red Reserve. Twist said, "I'm thrilled to be back at Fnatic, an organization I've always looked up to since I started following the professional scene." But is this what Fnatic needs? Do you think? Because they've been struggling as well.
Uh, when Draken first joined, I think they had pretty good success, at least very early. And then after that, he kind of maybe went back to the old ways, like the honeymoon phase teams tend to do a lot better. Maybe because their spirits are high, the morale's high, the yearning to do well is there for everybody. And so what I'm thinking with Draken is, in game, there's some stuff that he has to really work on, hitting those easy op shots, try to avoid that Draken window, whatever they want to
Right.
call it, these memes these days. But I'm thinking this has to be more of an internal thing. We've seen Draken do really well, had really crazy games,
Mm-hmm.
but then we've seen games where he does really bad. And so I'm thinking maybe he doesn't take criticism that well, or maybe he's a very stubborn person. Because I don't know, it just doesn't. It feels weird, and how much animosity it felt like between his clips about him leaving or scratching stickers off his guns, a Fnatic, whatever. It seems like it's a pretty bitter breakup. So I'm assuming that it has to do with something of they don't agree with something in the
Yeah.
clan, and eventually he got kicked out because of it, and that's definitely hurtful for him. But
Yeah.
maybe better. I'd say better for Fnatic in the long run. Twist has always been a player that the Swedish scene has been eyeing, but the story of him is that he chooses to play with his friends over a professional teams, and he's turned down multiple offers from teams like NIP and Fnatic
Right.
uh, in the past, and so now he decided maybe it's time to go. Maybe they offered him something. Maybe he's tired of playing friends, or maybe he just wants to take the next level into his game. And this is definitely the great move for him.
Yeah, for Twist, undoubtedly this is the right play. Didn't really think too much about situation with Draken in terms of it being a bitter breakup, and I've had very bitter breakups. You know, it's crazy girls out there.
I don't know why I'm laughing because that's not funny.
No. Just
Uh,
drive their car into yours just to prove a point. You know,
whoa, that's a
we
little
got 'em for
intense.
days. Do the reload breakup special.
Yeah, let's go. Get some
That'll be
whiskey and let's
next
do
week, guys. Um,
it. Don't say it if you won't bring it.
I'll bring it. Don't
Bring it.
tempt me. I'm ready. Jeez, yeah. So I think those were the main transfers over the last week. There's the ECS Season 6 going on right now. Haven't been able to follow a lot of that action, but I will mention, though, that in the Challenger Cup in European side, there was North Optic Gaming and Team, LDLC.com. Really don't know much about them at all, but there's on the North American side, there was Complexio. I just merged two names.
There we go, Complexio.
Complexio.
Oh, Complexio. Let's go. New team. I want to see them.
Complexity, Azio, and MIBR qualified. So that's going to be going on over the next couple weeks. And then obviously there is most upcoming is the Star Series in I-League Season 6 starting on the 7th. I believe that is a Sunday. And we've got the teams right here. We could go ahead and pull them up, see those guys that are playing. I'm having to squint very hard to see this right now, but that's definitely okay.
What is this for?
This is the Star Series in I-League Season 6.
Oh my goodness,
yes.
So many. All the leagues start at the same time.
Yeah,
why do they do this? It's a nightmare for not just the teams,
to keep up with
us.
this.
There's so many leagues. How is some of these teams? Because what isn't big in like 3 different leagues? Mouse Sports 3 different leagues. North 3 different Optic. All these are in 3 different leagues. It's gonna be a shit show. I imagine that this league's gonna get screwed over the most because they got ECS and ESL or EPL, whatever.
I imagine scheduling right now is an absolute fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah, it's going to be because, I mean, you have to play 3 different leagues on top of your practice, on top of other media allegations or obligations, whatever. Some of these teams like Renegades, they're probably hoping to do well because hey, they're not in that many leagues anymore. Hellraiser's probably looking Tyloo, but you got Mouse Sports Big and all these other teams that probably will focus on EPL and ECS above this league.
Yeah, this one's probably going to take the backseat to those tournaments, but I'd say it's a pretty nice looking lineup. Yeah, like you said, we got Mouse Sports Big.
My great teams.
Big was looking pretty good when they played Australis recently. I forget in which tournament because there's like 800 going on right now. But they did lose to Australis, of course. But definitely looked good. Tabson was playing really well there. Smooya. Definitely excited to see Gambit here. Hellraiser's always fun to watch. Mouse Sports. See if North can pick things back up because after Stockholm, they kind of vanished. And also Complexity is another good team to watch. And of course, how could you forget NRG Esports?
NRG, Energy Fam. Hashtag.
So it'll be a good tournament. I saw that that video they put on Twitter that was the how to pronounce NRG. Do you see that?
Energy.
Yeah. Did I just do it wrong?
No, energy. No, you're right. It's supposed to be pronounced energy, not
energy.
NRG. Energy.
I'm just used to NRG.
Even the people on the team that I manage will refuse to say energy and say we're NRG. I
Wow.
don't know, man.
Some backlash from internally.
It's hard to control kids these days. You just can't. They're a mind of their own.
Especially this.
Just let them go. You just gotta let them fly. Just let them fly. Stop controlling them. Just let them fly.
Just let them go. Especially
Let 'em
those
go, let 'em fly.
those mobile guys. You say in my day, I was using an Xbox controller. Do you know what the first gen looked like? It was about this big. Okay. You wanted to
CDs
travel
for
with
days.
it. Yeah.
CD stacks of this. Okay. We had those. We'd buy those things from Best Buy. Those tall CD holders that act as lamps. You know, those like 8 feet things you could
Yes.
slide
Oh,
CDs
those were
in.
amazing.
Remember
But
those?
when they fell,
Yeah, when they
it
fell,
was
that's
devastating.
Don't
Absolutely
let 'em fall.
devastating.
You don't
They
have those
always it was
anymore.
always in slow motion too. You just see it from across the room, no shot. The first two, they kept falling off from the top first. You're just no, please.
just pile everywhere of CDs.
These just devastating. The mobile guys, you just want to go up and be like, you know what? Back
They
in
don't know
my
about the
day,
levels. They
I
know
was
that.
playing Counter-Strike on a fax machine. Okay, then there.
Oof. It's raw.
That's a fire, right?
Raw.
Got no shame.
You don't have to have shame. It's
No.
okay. Let's let it out.
No shame in
Let
the
it out,
reload.
man.
Nothing at all, man. That's pretty much going to do it for this episode of the reload. I think we covered a pretty solid amount here. Bears, as always, thank you for coming on, my man.
Thank you for inviting me.
I hope you
It's
find your
my
yoga.
pleasure.
It's a pleasure.
I'm going to
Todd.
look at right after here. I'm going to look up some stuff. Maybe go hit a free session. If you walk in there and sign up, they give you a couple free days. So
That's the trick.
I'm looking
You
for
just
that.
gotta circuit.
A couple free days. Just hit about 8 of them, and I'll get 10 free weeks, just like that. So no, I'm just kidding. I don't do that.
There's a yoga person
maybe
watching
some
it.
of them.
Manager.
That's cool.
All right, Bears. Thank you so much, man. I will talk to you soon.
Thank
pal.
you. Adios, amigos.
Adios.
Peace.
All right, guys, and that's going to do it for this episode of The Reload. Thank you for tuning in to watch the live broadcast. We always appreciate you guys coming in. And definitely follow us on Twitter at The Reload FM. Keep up to date with the latest in competitive Counter-Strike. We try to make it fun, engaging. And also thank you to UGC for producing this show and everything you're seeing right here. So we really appreciate that. Real quick before we go, we're going to just end on this note. If you did not see it, we put together our top 5 liquid plays from ESL New York. Just because there was so much hype behind the team, they faced this heartbreaking defeat against Mouse Sports where, yes, they dropped the ball, essentially. But we put together our top 5 plays, and we really hope you enjoy it. But to just sign off, my name is Cody Luongo. Thank you guys for watching again, and I will see you next week. What's up, guys? It's Cody Luongo for the Reload Podcast, and in honor of Liquid's incredible yet heartbreaking, yes, heartbreaking defeat at ESL New York, we wanted to touch on what we thought were 5 of their most crucial moments and plays. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And coming in at number 5, tense moments for Team Liquid as you see Snacks plant that bomb on the A bomb site. Liquid staring down their championship point prospect. Now, Sunny's going to come around the back with this huge flank that's going to instantly put them back in. Now, Nas going to hit this long shot right down the hall. That's a critical play, and now it's a 1v1, 14-14. Naf going to be able to clean that play up and defuse the bomb. Number 4, and just 2 rounds later, you'll see Liquid continuing to fight for this map point. The entire Mouse side is pushing onto this bomb site. You got Liege being flashed, Nitro being pushed back as well by the smokes and utility coming out. Liege able to get 2 huge kills, make it 3, bomb goes up, and together him and Nitro able to clean this round up. That's 2 apiece and get that huge win on Dust 2. Now Twist heavily outnumbered here, 4v1. You see him take down Rops, and it's still a pretty bad scenario for him. Manages to get the right kill on Chris J. He knows Oscar's to his left, gets a super clutch kill, comes around the corner, see ya, Oscar. And that's going to be the round win for Liquid. Twist, that was a huge play. And in our number 2 spot, again, we have Twist. He's taking a lot of pressure right behind the forklifts on the A bomb site. You know, he takes his time, nice and patient, drops the bomb there, comes around, gets that nice deep kill, make it 3 with the AK-47. Pistol comes out through the smoke. So much damage coming out from Twist. Absolutely incredible 4K. Again, he eventually goes down to Snacks, but Nitro able to get that trade and win the round for Team Liquid. In our number 1 spot, it's Twist. Yes, we cannot get enough of him. He was simply stellar this tournament. He was the HLTV and Betway MVP. So you see him on this map against NRG. He's got the smoke, calls for the boost from Taco. Where you at? Where you at? Peekaboo, Daps goes down. That's a huge play from Twist. You see him kind of rotating. Nice and cleverly taking his time over into the A-bomb site. Some more shots comes out. Able to take out Fugly, and another clean shot. Gets blinded there. That's going to set him back just a little bit, but again, he comes around the corner. He's got the height advantage. That's one tap, and there's the last one right there. Finishing off the round with an ace. Twist again. We can't believe it. Beautiful stuff. All right, guys, and that's going to do it for the Reload Podcast Top 5 Liquid Plays. Thanks for watching, as always, and definitely give us a follow on Twitter and stay up to date with all the latest in competitive Counter-Strike.